Hello, it's Mike Perry here at Mike'sTakeOnTheMovies.com. You know, I love to play poker, so I started thinking about films that got great poker scenes. And I've come up with two. But before I even get to those, just generally, you know, today poker's so popular with sports channels and stuff, and I started thinking about just poker films in general. And I mean, there's hardly a Western ever made that doesn't have a poker scene. Guys get in off the range, and inevitably it usually ends up in a killing. And back in 1968, there was a whole film built around a poker game called Five Card Stud with Dean Martin and the coolest guy on the earth, Robert Mitchum. James Bond got in on the action with Casino Royale. I mean, it was great timing. Poker was all over the television sets, so James Bond has the big Texas Hold'em scene and does, needless to say, quite well, as we would expect James Bond to do. And who wouldn't want to be Matt Damon facing off against John Malkovich in a film that's really gathered a bit of a cult following called Rounders? I mean, great cast: Ed Norton, Martin Landau, and probably guys I can't even recall. John Turturro, let's not forget him. But you know, which brings us really to my two favorite poker scenes. One isn't necessarily a poker movie, and that's the 1973 film The Sting, with Paul Newman and Robert Redford out to take down Kingpin Robert Shaw. But there's a scene in that movie involving poker where basically Robert Redford steals Robert Shaw's wallet, promptly gives the money to Paul Newman. Newman goes into the poker game, the private game, pretends he's drunk the whole time, can never pronounce Robert Shaw's name correctly. And it's hilarious. Newman plays it up perfectly. I mean, once again, it's so hard to pick a favorite Paul Newman movie. Ask me on any given day, I usually say Cool Hand Luke. Catch me while I'm playing cards, and I'll probably say The Sting. It's just an amazing film. It was directed by George Roy Hill. And what do you got? As usual, I lose again. Peg it down. It was directed by George Roy Hill, who had done Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid with Redford and Newman back in '69, I guess. So they had a history. Hill would go on to direct Newman in The Sting as well. Now, as far as my all-time favorite poker scene, is probably in my favorite poker movie. The film is built around poker this time, unlike The Sting. And that's 1965's The Cincinnati Kid. Steve McQueen's in it, as is Edward G. Robinson as Clancy the Man. It was a Norman Jewison film, originally supposed to be Sam Peckinpah. Peckinpah got fired, I don't remember the reasons. Steve McQueen in 1965 was really coming into his own. He'd done The Magnificent Seven. He's iconic now after doing The Great Escape. He's a year away from his only Academy Award nomination in Sand Pebbles. The Cincinnati Kid's got some great people in it. The leading ladies, gorgeous Anne Margaret, and then the country girl Tuesday Weld are the women in McQueen's life. Of course, he's out to take down the legendary poker player Edward G. Robinson. Film was, you know, it's almost a bit like The Hustler, I'll be honest, but it still works in the field of poker. Players at the table, you've got Rip Torn. He's in there. The dealers are Carl Malden and Joan Blondell as Ladyfingers. I love that name. That's a great name for a dealer, Ladyfingers. The lighting of the final scene is amazing. And overall, it's almost like a spaghetti western before spaghetti westerns were really coming in. A lot of voiceover narrations, the shots of the eyes as they're all watching that final hand when you just know that something's about to bust in the poker game. And Edward G. Robinson was originally, his role as Clancy was supposed to be done by Spencer Tracy. And Tracy, I mean, late in the career, he was always seen to be ill, and a lot of films he had to pull out of or could barely get through them. So Eddie G. steps in, you know, Robinson, 1931, you know, Little Caesar, proves again that he is still a formidable presence in films. I mean, to stare down this guy at a poker table is a dream come true. So you got to check out The Cincinnati Kid if you haven't seen it. It's just an amazing film. Jewison, of course, went on to a storied career. And it's just, you know, for poker, it's my all-time favorite. I can't think of a better poker film, and the final poker hand is amazing. So what do you got there, kid? What are you doing, kid?
Everything I've got.
everything he's got. That's exactly what Steve McQueen said in The Cincinnati Kid. And to be honest with you, the cards in front of me are the exact cards dealt in that final hand. So the kid's got aces over tens and a hole card. Eddie G's got, well, he's got a possible flush, possible straight, and a possible straight flush. So the question is, does he have the Jack of Diamonds? And I'm not flipping the card. You'll have to check out the movie to find out. You won't be disappointed. It's an amazing cast, great film. Once again, thanks for joining in. It's Mike Perry at Mike'sTakeOnTheMovies.com.